In this episode, I have a special guest for a special occasion. Let's just say the military is very close to both of our hearts. Please stay tuned to hear her inspiring story from traveling the world to crippling anxiety and then starting a nonprofit. I can't wait for you to hear and find out how you can help too. Welcome to Empowering Time Markers, the podcast where we share inspiring stories, empower listeners with business tips, and create connections. I'm your host, Tia Bottum, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on this journey of growth and empowerment. Our guest today is a co-founder, a VP, and a marketing director for Peace for Warriors, a nonprofit. She has volunteered internationally since she was 19 years old and has traveled to 22 countries. One day, after trapping herself in anxiety in her apartment for 2 months, she realized she needed to get out and get out of her head, which led her to traveling and starting volunteering around the world. Please welcome Danielle Bare.
Hello, thank you so much.
Please tell me your story.
All right, thank you. So yeah, my story, I had a really good childhood growing up. I grew up in California. I had 3 brothers, no sisters. I was very grateful for my childhood. I had amazing grandparents that were always very giving, so they would always get us involved in their church and giving back, and so I've always just had the mentality of giving back is always good to help others. But on top of that, really worried about what other people would think of me. I was constantly, am I good enough for this? Am I worthy? I didn't have the best confidence. I always tried to push myself out of my comfort zone, but deep down, I didn't have the best self-talk. I got into performing arts in elementary school. I was a kid in the school plays, and I was on the dance team, but I did not ever want to do improv or do a dance solo. Now, let me explain why. In a play, or on a dance team, you have a routine, you have structure, you have a script. If someone didn't like the play, that's not my fault. I was just following the script. However, if you asked me to do improv or make up a dance or whatever, I immediately would be like, oh my God, what if they don't like it? I have to create it myself. I always had that heaviness on me, being afraid of what people think. But I still loved to perform and dance and sing. And that was what I did throughout my childhood, throughout high school. But then came to choosing a college, right? And I did not want to be judged on my writing. I didn't enjoy writing. I didn't want to go to college and have to write papers. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll go to a performing arts college. That'll be more fun, more uplifting, like good energy, better, like people moving, not everyone just studying and sitting in books. So I auditioned for this performing arts college, and I actually found out that they doubled as a nonprofit working with kids to get them in performing arts. And I thought, oh, great. So I'll be able to do my singing and dancing, but I'll also be able to give back, work with kids. But on top of that, being surrounded by amazing, talented people was really hard because I still had the comparisonitis. Am I good enough to even be here? I'm not good enough to have a solo. She should have the solo. I was so happy singing and dancing in the back row. I would have rather been in every single number in the back, living my dreams, than have one solo and be in the front row. So I was always that person. I never really wanted to be in the spotlight, but I loved being a part of the whole thing. So first year was regular college. You're taking your classes, your general education classes, but then also singing and dancing classes. And on top of that, we started working with kids locally in Boys and Girls Club, juvenile detention centers, and just hosting workshops for local schools as well. And our goal was just to get kids out of their comfort zone, just move their body, sing and dance, have fun. It wasn't very strict at all. It was just, we're going to teach you a couple of dance numbers and then we're going to perform them for your parents in 3 days and we'll see how you feel at the end. And it impacted a lot of people. These kids had never tried these things before, and it just gave me that rewarding feeling like, wow, I love helping these kids. I worked with 13, 14-year-old boys who were in juvenile detention centers. They'd never sang and danced in their life, but I'd be like, you know what? Just stand up and try it. Who cares what people think? I was telling people to not care what people think, but I still had that inside. But seeing the light in the kids' eyes when they realized they can do it was just so empowering for me. And then after that first year, we then were able to start traveling overseas. And the first place that they sent me was to Japan for 3 months, working with kids singing and dancing in there. And that's when I got bit by the travel bug. I fell in love with the culture, the food, just everything in Japan. It's just, it takes the whole world and flips it upside down. And it just made me realize, wow, there is so much more to see than just in North America. Because I had been to Mexico and traveled around the States growing up, but that was the extent of my traveling. And I continued to volunteer with the same organization, working with kids. I went to Germany for 2 months, on surrounding countries for another month. And then I went to the UK for 3 months. And then I worked all around the US for 3 months. And I really just loved getting out of my comfort zone. I did love it, but I still was fighting with my inner anxiety. I still didn't feel worthy enough to be here. I was enjoying myself, but I just thought I shouldn't, I'd never felt like I belonged. So eventually I loved what I was doing. But after 3 years, I thought, all right, time to switch it up. So I met this boy who was a volunteer with the same organization, and he was from Canada. And we had been dating for about a year, and we were both ready to stop volunteering with this group. And I was like, oh, hey, why don't I get a work and holiday visa up in Canada, and we'll just see what adventures we find up there. Now, I loved it up there. It was nice, but it wasn't a very good relationship. I was really trying to force it to work, and we could feel each other drifting away. He was going down a darker path, drugs and alcohol, and I was still very lost. I was all alone. We were living close to his family, so he had support, but I just still didn't feel like I was in my element. And I was working so many jobs, Starbucks for 2 months, the mall for 2 months, a bowling alley for a couple of months. Like I was just all over the place. And eventually I just started shutting down. I found a job online teaching English to kids in China, and I actually loved that. Gave me the same sense of working with kids overseas, but that meant I didn't have to go out of my apartment very much. And when the boyfriend would be off at work, I would just be home working, teaching kids for about 3 hours. And then I had another 5 or 6 hours on my own. I would always tell myself, go outside and take a walk. You can do it. I lived above a grocery store. And I eventually was like, no, I'll just wait for him to get home and we can go to the store together. And my anxiety just started getting worse and worse. And I did not want to leave my apartment anymore on my own. I was so afraid of what other people would think. What if I did something, made a mistake, tripped and fell in front of a stranger? What would they think? And it got really bad. I would have panic attacks. Like remember standing and holding my hand on the door handle and just, this shouldn't be an issue for you. You've already traveled to 10 different, you've volunteered in 10 different countries. You've traveled. Why are you so afraid to leave your apartment in Canada? And so I knew that something had to change. So I just decided, okay, I'll look for more online jobs. So I started also looking into digital marketing jobs, network marketing. I got into a couple of those. They were great, but again, wasn't my flow. So I learned a lot about building businesses on Facebook. I was like, this is a good skill to have, but it still didn't give me access to the outside world yet. I wasn't making enough money and I still didn't believe in myself very much. Eventually, the Canadian boyfriend, we were like, okay, this has been wonderful, but it's not working. So I'm going to go back home to California. So I was in Canada for about a year and a half. And I went back home to California. And this was the end of 2018. And I really had to sit down with myself and I thought, okay, Danny, what do you want to do? If no one else stopped you right now, if no money stopped you, what would you want to do? And I thought, I loved volunteering and I loved traveling, but I don't necessarily want to go back with the same organization that I was with. It was a lot of work. We volunteered for 3 months straight and we maybe had 5 days off. Like, and comparisonitis was bad in that group. So I knew that I needed to travel and volunteer, but I needed to find another way to do it. So I started looking for teaching English opportunities because I knew I could teach English to kids online. So why not do it in person in Europe somewhere? And I found an opportunity in Poland to teach kids just for 2 weeks. And I said, great, that's where I'm going to start. And I had volunteered in Europe before, so I had a few contacts still. So I thought, okay, I'm going to find volunteer opportunities that are small, like 2 week ones, and then I'm going to travel and visit my friends that I know, and I'm just going to backpack Europe by myself. But I knew I was never going to be alone. I was always going to be with an organization or staying at a hostel. And something like clicked. I was like, how can I do that but not leave my apartment in Canada? February 2019, I zoomed off to Europe and I taught English in Poland and Hungary. I traveled all around visiting friends. And then I found a yoga retreat to volunteer at, and I worked on an olive farm in Greece. I traveled for 4 months. And that was the moment where I realized everyone says, oh, I traveled and then I found myself. It's freaking true because I didn't have to worry about anyone else. I could just do what I wanted to do. I could go where I wanted to go. I could eat what I wanted to eat. And like I said, I was with people throughout the trip, but not the entire time. Like it was my journey and it was amazing. And so I started in Poland and then I worked my way along like to Germany and then over to the UK and then down to Barcelona and along the bottom through Italy and then to Croatia. And I ended in Greece. And the last 2 weeks of my trip in Greece, I lost my phone. I had my laptop with me too, so if I found Wi-Fi, I could just hop on and whatever. But I lost my phone, and the last 2 weeks of my trip was actually the best part of my trip. I had just let everything go. If I wanted someone to take a picture, I would just ask a stranger. They'd add me on Instagram and then just send me the picture. And I was able to get around even without relying on technology. If I knew I had to go somewhere, I would look it up on my computer when I had Wi-Fi, write it down in my notebook, and then I would just go out, and if I was lost, I'd have to talk to people. So it really got me out of my comfort zone, that just made me realize that there's good people in this world, and they will always help you if you ask. And at the end of that trip, I had a fire lit under me and it just clicked. Traveling and volunteering. That's what I love. And I went back to Europe 2019 for the fall and just visited a little bit for a month, just went back for a month, visited a few more friends and found a few more little things to volunteer with. And then I also, at the end of 2019, so New Year's 2020, actually, I took my mom on a 2 week trip to Italy. Because she was like, you're traveling so much. I don't understand why you want to leave the United States. It's so pretty here. I'm like, Mom, you need to see the rest of the world. Come on, let's go. And she was like, okay, why not? And she saw me in my element because she's known that I can come off extroverted, but she's known that I've always had a lot of anxiety. I am actually introverted. I can be extroverted, but I get burned out really easily. So my mom has known that. And when she saw me while we were going all through Italy, she was like, wow, I get it now. And I see how it lights you up. And we had an incredible trip. And we're so thankful that we did that trip because shortly after 2020, New Year's was when the world started shutting down. So obviously, everything had a major shift once 2020 came into what it was. So I really found myself doing a lot of reflecting. Okay, what am I going to do? I love traveling and volunteering, but that's not going to happen right away. So what am I going to do in the meantime? I have an aunt in Virginia. She's getting hip surgery. She needs help. I don't have anything to do. I'm going to go stay with my aunt in Virginia throughout the summer of 2020 because she was going to hire a caretaker anyways. Like, why don't I just be her caretaker? So I still found myself throughout 2020 and 2021 finding ways to travel throughout the US and helping people. Maybe not volunteering, but I was still with my aunt in Virginia, with my grandparents down in Mexico. Like, I was still finding things to give back. And on the side, I was still trying to expand my digital marketing businesses, like trying to work with other businesses, help them build Facebook pages because I didn't want to give up that skill. And I was making enough to get by with that, but it wasn't something that I was throwing all my energy in because I knew I wanted to keep traveling and volunteering and I wanted people to get the same rewarding feeling that I have gotten. By 2021, I really wanted to create this idea or this business or something that I wanted to take people on volunteer trips. Like I physically was like, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. It would be a travel adventure, but I just didn't know how. I was hitting a wall with that, but I just told myself, all right, just keep doing things that make you feel good, Danny. So what makes you feel good? Traveling. So let's save up some money. Let's work at a couple of restaurants and let's find opportunities that make you feel good. Since 2019, my goal has to go to 30 countries before I turn 30. Now I'm 28 right now, and at the end of 2019, I had been to 21 countries. And I was like, I can totally visit 9 more countries in the next 5 years, piece of cake. And then 2020, 2021, 2022 happened, and I was like, okay, we're wasting a little time here. Got to get some more countries. So 2022, I'm going to go to one country. So I said, I'm going to go to Costa Rica. I'm going to learn Spanish because I want to get out of my comfort zone and learn a new language. And I want to learn how to surf. I grew up in California, but I didn't have friends that surfed. So I never learned how to surf. So I was like, I'm going to go to Costa Rica and I'm going to learn these skills and I'm going to see if I can find volunteer work down there. So, spring of 2022, I'm working a bunch of restaurant jobs, trying to save up money. I was enjoying the single life. I wasn't looking for a guy. Something in my heart told me I wasn't going to meet my soulmate for another year. So let's just enjoy my time now. Let's just enjoy being single. And when you always say that, once you stop looking, they always appear. I was just very concentrated on growing myself and working to save up money. And I get a message from this Marine who's, hey, would you like to have dinner tonight? And I was like, "Fuck it, I'm not doing anything tonight, let's go." And I met up with this wonderful man, and we were talking, sharing our stories. I told him about all my traveling and volunteering, and he had been in the military for 20 years, and he was telling me about his story. And his big thing was he wants to help veterans with PTSD because he himself has PTSD and he's lost a lot of friends to suicide, and he just wanted to find something to help these guys fall in love with the world again. But he didn't know how to do that. That first night, just jokingly, we were kind of like, it'd be really cool if we could take veterans on volunteer projects so they can find a new sense of purpose and give back to the world and just put a smile on a kid's face instead of seeing them run in terror because they are carrying weapons of some kind. We wanted them to see a different part of the world and fall in love again. And at first, we were just joking, but we enjoyed each other's company so much. He asked me for another dinner the following week, and I was like, absolutely, you're great. I don't know a lot of people in town, so why not? And we really hit it off. By the third day, I was like, yeah, you're perfect for everything that I want to do. And with such a beautiful mission. And he had the who to my what, and I had the what to his who. And my grandfather, he was in the Marines, so I've always had immense respect and love, but personally, I didn't grow up very close to it, so I didn't grasp the whole concept of what it means to be a military family, to be in the military. But now being with him, I'm learning every day, and it's always an eye opener. I'm learning something new every day, hearing a new story every day, and it's incredible. And we've been together for a year and a half now, but I was planning to go to Costa Rica, right? So throughout the summer, we're still seeing each other. We're having fun. We're not fully committed to the idea of creating this organization just yet, but we're pretty much sold on the idea. But I told him I need to go to Costa Rica first. That is my goal for this year, and I'm not going to put that off. I need to focus on me. And then when I come back, we'll see where we are. And so I went down to Costa Rica. I had an amazing time. I did a lot of self reflection. I really worked through a lot of things when I was down there. But when I came back 2 days before he and I were going to go to the Marine Corps ball, and I had never been to a ball before, and I hadn't seen a lot of his military friends, but I was so excited because I wanted to wear a ball gown. I had no idea what to expect. And I was freshly tan from Costa Rica. And seeing him in his uniform, I was like, wow. And then the second we get to the ball, so many people are coming up to us and just saying, I can't even tell you a specific moment, but something was just like, oh my gosh, these are the people I want to surround myself with. There was one woman that came up to me and she was like, Dan and I had, my boyfriend's name is Dan, by the way, Dan and Danny. It's wonderful. This woman came up to me. She's like, I have never seen Dan so happy in his life. And it is absolutely amazing that you guys have found each other. And she was crying. And that kind of made me realize, okay, he must be a good person if he's able to impact people like that. And then me coming into his life, it's obviously a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good match. That was when I was like, these are the people I want to work with. These are the people I want to travel with. These are the people that I want to teach others more about, bring more awareness to what they do, what they go through. And that was when we were like, yeah, we're doing this. When I was in Costa Rica, we were fiddling around with a logo, we were fiddling around with a Facebook page. But once I was at that Marine Corps ball, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And we hit the ground running after that. He was a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps. He knows how to go for a goal when he sees one. We had a fundraiser in December last year to raise funds to become an official nonprofit. And by January, we were official with the IRS. We got our EIN number and everything. And then we needed to find, okay, we're going to take people volunteering, but where are we going to volunteer and who are we going to take? How many? All the details. Within that week of us getting approved as a nonprofit organization, my friend who is in my digital marketing business with me, she's from the Philippines and her family is still in the Philippines, but she now lives in California. And she told me, hey, Danny, my mom back in the Philippines, she works with this indigenous tribe up in the mountains, and we do a food drive and a shoe drive all the time, but they need some help with building a schoolhouse and some manual labor. Do you know anyone that would be interested in coming to the Philippines and just volunteering and helping us out? And I was like, funny you should ask that, because she didn't even know about our nonprofit coming together. She didn't even realize that I was looking to do such a thing. And it's just, it all came together. The Philippines was our destination, and we talked to the teacher at the village, and they have a schoolhouse there right now, but it needs repair. It's run down. They need help repairing roads to get to the school. There's just so many things, like they need school supplies, shoe supplies, they need canned foods. So there's a lot of room for us to do, whether it's building or just giving back.
Mhm.
And so that's how it's coming to be. Our trip is planned for March 2024. So we're really excited for it. We have the people that we're going to take with us. This is the first trip. So we're just taking 6 people total, including Dan and I. And we're just going to go there. We're going to survey the land. If we brought 12 people, how would we house them? How would we fill them?
All the logistics.
Yeah, it's very exciting. But here's the thing, how we want to do it. So these guys, these veterans, women too, but guys for the sake
Yeah,
of
I got
everyone,
it.
a lot of them are like my boyfriend. They enlisted when they were young. My boyfriend enlisted at 17 and he was in for 20 years. He just got out this past July and he had never traveled as a civilian. He only traveled with a gun in his hand for to go to war zones on deployments. And he hasn't seen the good side of the world, but he's only seen the dark side. And we want to create our programs so it's a familiar structure for them. So we want to make it like a typical deployment cycle where they have pre deployment workups. And so they know what duties to do.
All year.
And then it will essentially be the same when they're deploying to the other country, but instead of going to combat zones, they are going to a school to make a child smile. And then at the end of the day, there's always a debriefing. And so there will be a familiar structure for these guys. And we're hoping that a trip like this will help them remap past trauma in their minds and just help them see that there is still good in the world and they still can find, they can serve a higher purpose. So my boyfriend, he did 7 deployments. One of them was to Africa, and he was sent there on his own to work with a small village to help them improve their military there. But he had a lot of free time when he was in Africa. And this was way before I met him, but he had a lot of free time. So he was doing volunteer work in Africa, and he actually took money out of his own account and helped them build a school. And they actually named the school after him and everything. And they were so grateful that at the end of his deployment, they made him part of the tribe. They gave him an African name. They completely accepted him as family. So he got a taste of what it was like to give back. And on our first date, he was actually telling me that story. And that's how he was like totally able to understand how rewarding volunteering is and how it can give you a new sense of purpose. That is our hopes and dreams for the future. We would love to work with this village. We want to go there at least twice a year. Eventually, we want to expand to other places, but we obviously don't want to stretch ourselves out thin. We want to make sure that we're actually helping in this one village before we go off to another one. We have contacts actually in Liberia, Africa, where he built the first school. They want us to come back. Liberia is not the most safest right now because there's a lot going on over there. So we have hopes to go there. But right now, we're just going to focus on the Philippines and see how big of an impact we can make. And
Yeah.
overall, the big picture is we want to help give these guys a way to transition back into civilian life. So many people, when they get out of the military, they are stuck. They don't really know what to do anymore. They don't have that structure. They're not doing something every day. So a lot of times they can spiral
Lost.
down.
Yeah.
They go to drinking. They just don't know who to turn for help. And a lot of them are prideful. So they don't want to ask for help. So if we can just take them to a place that is totally new to them, but still give them a familiar structure, but yet distract them from their everyday stresses, we hope that it'll just help these guys fall in love with themselves, with the world again, and give them a new fire under their butts for once they go back home.
I love your story. Sounds like everything has led you on this path. I even wrote down that your body made you uncomfortable so you would move towards your purpose. That's how I saw your anxiety and what you were going through because once
Mm,
it wasn't about the thing, it was you weren't where you were supposed to be and your body was telling you that. And then what you were truly feeling, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I was getting a sense of in the travel is that it was freedom. You finally were finding freedom and that's like twofold of what you're doing with veterans is you're still giving them some familiarity, but giving them real freedom, freedom from their mind, freedom from their daily life. So ultimately, you're finding freedom and you're giving an opportunity for soldiers or Marines and the military to find their own freedom and a new life. Man, I'm so proud of you. And so this is so amazing. I love this. I cannot wait to see how big you grow. And I have some contacts for you that I'm gonna like give you as well. And side note, we're gonna have links and stuff in the thing, but is that can you tell me the name of your website?
yes, our website is peaceforwarriors.org, but it's peace with the number 4 warriors.org.
Awesome. I love it. And what events do you do right now?
We've done a couple of fundraising events. The one that I mentioned we did in December was just a small fundraising silent auction raffle games type of fundraiser. And we also did one back in June. And it was more of a dinner with a silent auction, a guest speaker, and raffle games prizes. So that's our main form of raising money right now. We also take donations, obviously, but our goal is once we have a couple of trips under our belt, we already have contacts at the VA. So once we have a proof source and data showing exactly what we are doing, we are going to get government grants, government funding, and that will be, so we won't have to continue doing smaller fundraising and donations and stuff.
I think that you're gonna get even bigger and there's gonna be even more events coming for sure. And I think that your life is lining up, aligning, and whoever you're supposed to meet is on your path because it's so much bigger than you probably are even thinking what you're doing. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm very grateful.
Thank you for doing that and being you. So I want to know a little bit more about you. First of all, where in California did you grow up?
In Lake Elsinore, so it's about right in between LA and San Diego.
Okay. All right. All
Yeah,
right.
an hour inland from the coast,
Got it.
Desert Valley area.
Yeah, I really liked California. We drove down because we lived in Washington State for a bit, and we drove down when we had to go to Maryland. You had a lot of imposter syndrome, is what I would call that. So, are you still
Yeah.
struggling with that?
Um, yes, on a small scale. Definitely still so I didn't even mention, but I obviously since I had all these digital marketing skills, that's why I took on the marketing director role. I do the newsletters, the Facebook page, Instagram page, I do all of that. So I do still struggle with imposter syndrome, especially since I myself am not a veteran or was in the military, and our audience is military people. So I do sometimes have imposter syndrome because I'm not sure how to connect. But my boyfriend is amazing, so he always steps in and he helps me out with all of that. So I usually like giving him idea on what I want to do, and then I'm like, how do you make this appeal to veterans? So we work well together with that. But so yes, to answer your question, I do a little bit, but it's so much better than where I was even a year ago when we first started this out. I'm just so excited at the path that I'm going now. I can finally see where I'm going. When I was traveling and volunteering, I didn't really know what my big vision was. I just knew that I wanted to do this. Now it gets clearer and clearer every day. So I feel really good where I'm at now. And I couldn't be more grateful, but obviously a little bit of imposter syndrome still, yes.
I can relate. And I just want to know, can I give you advice?
Yes.
For just from what I know of you, which is very little, but a lot at the same time. I think that your heart is leading the way. And when you're focusing on who you're serving and what your mission is and what the why is, all those details about yourselves doesn't matter because you actually have so much courage to do it, step in it. And that alone going, "Hey," holding up a sign going, "I can help you. I wanna help you." That's all that matters. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter about, like, the detail. No one cares what shirt you're wearing. It doesn't matter, like, how much info. It's about your heart and your mission. That's what people need to know. So, as long as you speak from that, it'll work.
Thank you.
And also, you'll learn a lot very quickly, especially when you start hanging out with everybody. You're gonna start picking it up. Because I am a military spouse, so I never joined, but being around it for years, like, it took me a couple of years. It's like learning another language. It's literally it's just culture. That's all it is. It's not if you know enough or whatever, it's just learning the culture. And if you've
Mhm.
traveled that much, that has been your training to know how to understand the culture of the military. So it's already in
Yeah.
you. It's just a different name. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I hope that helped. I
It
hope it
did.
helped. I don't know if I
It
make sense, but I made sense in my mind.
it really did. It made me wanna say something, but then that train of thought left, but it totally does, and we have only been together for oh, I remember what I was gonna say. We have only been together for a year and a half now, but,
It's a long time.
I know I'm gonna be with him for quite a long time.
Yeah.
I can just see it. And he just retired this year, so I could not be more grateful that he went through a 20-year career and I only got the very end of it. And I know that there is so much that he can't tell me, but
Yeah.
even just what he can tell me, I know there is I know I will always be learning. I will never understand it all.
Yeah. And that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Grace is a wonderful word. Have it for yourself and have it for the people around you. With this new launch, can you tell me how people can get involved?
Yeah, we are looking for all sorts of help. We have a website, like I said, peacefulwarriors.org, and there's a form on there that you can fill out if you want to be volunteer with us in the US. We're planning places to volunteer in the US, or if you want to be a volunteer overseas. If you want to just help us and get us connected to other people or organizations, or if you just want to help us donate, or we're going to create an ambassador program. So we're looking for all sorts of people who just really wanna help us spread the word out there.
What if there's a veteran that is interested in being part of the program?
Absolutely. We have an application process. We have a form on our website. Anyone can reach out to us and tell us that they wanna get involved in whatever way they wanna get involved. So if you're a veteran and you wanna travel and volunteer with us or just see more about what we're learn more about what we're about, we will talk with anyone. So you can shoot us an email or apply on our form, and we will reach out. They can apply on our website there if you want to volunteer with us or just get involved with us in any way, or just get more information about how the trips work, about upcoming trips. They can send us an email, or like I said, we have that form on our website that they can fill out, tell us a little bit about them and where they're coming from and what they're looking for. And we read every single response, and we will personally reach out to you, hop on a Zoom call, phone call, or just email back and forth. We will talk with every single applicant.
Awesome. That's great. So that's all on your website. Okay, perfect. And tell me your top 3 tips.
Okay, so I wrote them down. Don't let money be the reason that you don't take a trip or do something that you want. Don't let money be the reason. Personally, for me and my 4-month trip throughout Europe, I only had about 2 months saved up. So I was only going to do 2 months. But then I said, fuck it. I'm going to go as long as my soul needs to be fed. And I put on a little credit card debt, but looking back, it's been 5 years, and I've paid off my credit card multiple times over. The extra 2 months of traveling was absolutely worth it. And so I'm really thankful that I didn't stop my trip early because of money. So never let money be an issue to stop you from doing something that you know will feed your soul. And oh, we all have those 2 voices in our mind, right? There's the bad voice telling you to stay in your comfort zone, that's wanting you to just do what's easy, what you know. And then there's that other voice that's might be a little bit quieter, but it's telling you, "Hey, come this way. I know it's all gonna work out, but you just have to trust me. You just gotta take the leap." Try to listen to that quiet mind, that I call it the higher mind, and then the, like, ego mind. So, the ego wants to keep you in your comfort zone. The higher mind, it knows it's the thing that's attached to the all-knowing in the universe. That's just how I look at it. So if you just lean more into that one, if you lean more into the one that makes you a little uncomfortable, but you think it's the right idea, listen to that one. Don't stay in your comfort zone. My other tip is, if in doubt, ask yourself, how many people need to tell me I'm worthy enough? If you're in doubt and you don't think you're good enough for something, you have to ask yourself, how many people have to tell you are good enough before you believe them? The answer should be 0, because none of their opinions matter, only yours. But if you ask yourself that, how many people have to tell me I'm good enough at running a nonprofit before I believe them? It opens your mind and be like, shoot, I just need to do it myself. So it's a little bit of a snap back to reality. Oh yeah, I am worthy of doing this freaking awesome thing, and no one can tell me different because I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Okay.
Those are
That
great. Those are great. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're going to play a game. And you had stated the reason for picking this is because you have done it. Is this something you have done if you were hosting something, or like the what you picked? Would you rather?
Yeah, so when I was teaching English in Poland and Hungary, I was working with, like, middle school aged kids, and it was an English language camp where kids had the basic knowledge of English, they just needed someone to practice with.
You,
So, my go-to questions were always, "Would you rather?" If they were little kids, it'd be like, "Would you rather have chocolate cake or ice cream?"
right.
And it was the game that I played to break the ice with these kids. And since doing that, if I ever needed to break the ice with anyone, like when I went down to Costa Rica and
Yeah.
stuff, like when I was meeting new people, I was like, "Hey guys, would you rather have no elbows or no knees?" It's just the thing that if no one's really asking questions, would you rather?
I love that. So am I going to be like one of the first people to make you do the answering?
I think you are.
The tables have turned. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Would you rather see 10 minutes in the future or 150 years in the future?
Ooh, my personal future or like the overall future? There's so many questions that go with that. And you always think once the future doesn't change. 10 minutes in the future sounds a little scary. So I would pick 150 because I would love to see, because I might have a huge impact on the world in 150 years, but I would like to see what it turns into. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And would you rather be forced to sing along or dance along to every song you heard?
I do both already. Yeah, if I had to pick, I guess I would pick dance. As you can
Yep.
tell, I'm like moving. If you're watching the video, like I am moving all over the place. I am definitely, I'm standing. I knew I couldn't sit and do this interview sitting. Like I needed to be on my feet. So I would dance too.
Awesome. Would you rather okay, this is always interesting when I ask people in a relationship. Would you rather find true love today or win the lottery next year?
Yeah, so I've already found my true love. So I'll just say I'd rather win the lottery next year.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what everyone would say if they're in a
right,
relationship. Yeah?
right. I
Okay.
think I'm gonna I gotta change that because I do have a lot of people that are in relationships. Okay, would you rather stay inside during snow or go build a fort?
Oh my gosh. I grew up in California, so I didn't really get a lot of snow in my life, but I'm going to Minnesota this winter and
Oh
I'm going to
gosh.
experience like a real December, January, February. I'll be in Minnesota. So I'm going to be playing in the snow for sure. I have been in snow, don't get me wrong, but I lived in Canada for Pete's sake. But
Where in Canada? I forgot to ask you.
oh, in London, Ontario,
Okay.
like off the thumb of Michigan around the Great Lakes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not much there.
Well, it's about 2 hours away from Toronto. There's
Yeah.
some good-sized city. London is a college town, so
Oh, okay. That was fun.
so
All right.
there's
All
but,
right.
yeah, I lived in a city, though, right? I lived in an apartment, so I didn't have to shovel snow, I didn't have to
Right.
go on a snowmobile, I didn't cross country ski, I didn't do any of that, but
Yeah.
I will do that in Minnesota this winter.
You better. I wanna see pictures.
Oh, there will be.
Would you rather have a personal maid or a personal chef?
Ooh, a chef. That'd be cool. I like cleaning, actually. I like cooking, but cleaning, I'll throw a podcast in and I like just work, and it's like kind of my meditation time.
Awesome.
But having a maid would be pretty awesome. But I would pick chef because then they could just cook what I wanted them to cook.
Yes. Would you rather live in a haunted house by friendly ghosts or be a ghost reliving your average day after you die?
So be living, but in a haunted house with nice ghosts, or after I die, be a ghost just going day to day, like stuck on
Yeah.
Earth. I would rather live with the friendly ghosts. If they can talk to me, they can give me a lot of insight.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Would you rather have one wish granted today or 10 wishes granted 20 years from now?
You said 10 wishes 20 years from now? I don't really know what those 10 wishes would be, but I like to believe I'm patient. And if I had a wish today, I don't know what I'd wish for. So I will just give myself some time to think of some really good wishes.
That's a good answer. I like that. Would you rather be reincarnated as a fly or just stop existing when you die?
Oh, I'd love to be a fly, even though flies don't live very long.
Right.
Depending on where I am in the world, I'd love to see how far I could get and what things I listen to.
A fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Celine Dion or Eminem perform the soundtrack of your life?
Oh, I do like both of them, but I'm gonna go with Celine Dion.
No. Would you rather win on Survivor or on The Bachelorette or Big Brother? Because I know that you're in a relationship.
I don't watch any of those TV shows. I would say Survivor, I guess. That's
You get
yeah, because yeah, you're traveling and you're like you're doing things. Bachelor, I don't even really know what Big Brother's about. I definitely wouldn't want to do
you're
that.
stuck in a
Bachelor,
house.
oh no way. Yeah, and The Bachelor, I was just telling my grandma this. There was a commercial on the other night, and I was like, I don't understand why people watch that show and why they think they find true love. I'm happy for them if it works out, but why would anyone watch it? I definitely would not want to be on it.
Thank you so much for playing that game. How did it feel being on the other side?
That was fun. Yeah. Now that I think about it, no one has ever asked me would you rather questions. I usually just answer my own questions after people would answer, but that was a lot of fun. Do you ask the same questions or
Yeah, I
switch them out a
change it
little bit?
up. I'm gonna change it per season, but I have because I have the 4 games, it's just interesting because every person will answer it differently, except
Oh,
that
okay.
one
Yeah.
question about the lottery, so I have to change.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that we didn't cover that you would like to share?
This has been Amazing. I didn't really say we do have a social media, Peace for Warriors, all spelled out, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And we would love support of any kind that you can give us. If you just want to send us a nice message just and tell us we're doing good, that would be oh so much appreciated because I would be the one reading that message. So it would be like, yay, my imposter syndrome is like not a big deal. Like it's fine. But so yeah, other than that, all it'll say. 'Kay, I'll think of 10 things after we end this call, but
Of course. But you are more than welcome to come back on in the spring. Like after you get back from your first trip, I would love an update. So that would be really cool.
I would love to do it. Thank you.
And to see how much you've grown, like that would be amazing to hear an update with you. You're definitely invited back. And thank you so much. And I will have all of the links in the description and in the show notes and also on the screen. With that being said, I have two final questions for you and then we'll wrap it up. Okay. So the first one is tell me what legacy means to you and what role does it play in your life?
Legacy means to me what I leave behind when I leave this planet. So it's especially with what I'm doing now, I hope my legacy is an uplifting, positive impact, but also security for my loved ones and family. I want people to know that when I leave this earth that I want them wow, I've never really said this out loud, and it doesn't make sense when I try to speak it out loud.
You're doing great. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's legacy is not just financial security for my family. It's also the type of mindset and go-getter attitude that I want to pass on. It has the energy on top of the impact that I leave behind.
Yeah, that sounded great. That sounded great. And then the final question is, how are you marking this time in your life?
Love that. That's how am I marking it? Yeah, I know this probably doesn't answer, like, the question that you're thinking of, but I do this really cool thing where I take a 1-second video every single day, and I've been doing it for the last 5 years, and it was right when I left Canada, actually, a couple months before. So I started on my birthday, my 22nd birthday, and I've been doing it now for 5.5 years. And I don't want to stop because I know that this is the big chapter of my life, like the growing momentum of my life. And I know that I don't even know who was going to sit through right now the whole video. It's only 1 second right, every day, but if I don't know how many minutes that adds up to, I don't know who's going to watch it. That is how I'm physically marking my growth in my time period right now. And yeah, that's how I'm marking my time right now, my time in my life right now, this chapter. Taking 1 second video every day.
That is absolutely beautiful and probably the best answer I've gotten so far. And I love that. There's an app, right?
Yeah, I use an app which hopefully I can like screen record this podcast and I'll use this podcast for today's recording. But yeah, it's called 1 second every day. I don't know why I did that, but
Your phone.
you can take pictures, videos, and then go into the app and upload a week's worth of seconds at a time, so
Mhm.
you don't have to do it that day,
Oh,
and so, like, I haven't uploaded my 1 seconds for about a week now, so I'll just go in and go, "Here's all last week, da, 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 there's all my seconds." And it actually it's a great app because it allows me to be more present, and I end up taking less pictures. I just snap a second, like a quick video or a live photo, and it and then if that's what I use for that day when I'm going back and I'm looking at all of them, I remember everything that happened that whole day just from seeing that 1 second. And I post them on social media every 2 months, so the videos are only about a minute long. And it's just
I love
it's
it.
cool.
I love it. I think it's brilliant. And maybe, just maybe, in the near future, there'll be a documentary of your life and how you became this co founder of an amazing, world changing, life changing nonprofit.
Wow. Yeah, I'm feeling that's gonna happen one day for sure. It's already gonna happen.
Yes. And now we have to be friends on Facebook or wherever you post those because I want to see them.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
Thank you so much for sharing you and what you're doing. You're amazing. You're such a light. You're Oh my gosh. I wish nothing but the best for you and so much success. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast and doing all the good things you're doing in the world. So thank you.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm very grateful. This is my first podcast interview, and I'm glad it was with you because I feel like this has been a great flow. And now I'm not afraid to do interviews anymore. I was actually very afraid to do them. Before, Dan would always be the face of the nonprofit, but me doing this is it's been a really good step out of my comfort zone for sure. I'm very grateful.
You're a great storyteller and you've been awesome. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
You just heard Danielle Bare, an amazing soul that has started with her partner, peaceforwarriors.org. If you have a chance, please visit their social media and their website and see how you can help today. It was such a pleasure to sit down with her, and we wanted this episode to come out in November for Veterans Week. So thank you so much for listening to this episode and for your support. So thank you so much. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Empowering Time Markers. We hope you found inspiration, gained valuable insights, and connected with our incredible guest. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us continue to bring you empowering content. And remember, the journey doesn't end here. Stay connected with us on social media, where we'll be sharing additional resources, behind-the-scenes content, and updates on upcoming episodes. Thank you for joining us on this empowering journey. Together, let's continue to make our mark on the world one moment at a time. Until then, keep empowering yourself and others. This is Tia Bottum, signing off from Empowering Time Markers.